Virginia is taking a stand, limiting kids to just 1 hour of social media use per day. Could it work? Let's go. Senate Bill 854 in Virginia limits kids' social media use to just 1 hour per day, as well as making it that they would need to be age verified. So specifically Instagram and TikTok have to disable things like the forever scroll feature, which was, by the way, installed as part of the conditioning that the social networks have used in order to keep people psychologically hooked on these platforms. And for children and developing brains, the research is in and the results have not been good. Bottom line. I've been a social therapist, social worker, psychologist for more than 13 years. And I have seen, now that I'm seeing children and youth for the second time throughout my career, I'm seeing the development of pervasive depression and anxiety, which obviously isn't completely caused by social media, but it is exacerbated by it. And you can imagine precisely how this happens, but also just declining and taking away the rigorous motivation of a young person to begin to break away from familial systems, which in some ways is developmentally appropriate, and breaking away from the type of behaviors that are just satiated. They are completely satiated. Their motivation and psychological dopaminergic systems are satiated by these social media platforms and by video games and by spicy material, which is seen online. Jonathan Haidt, in his revolutionary book, The Anxious Generation, makes a compelling case that the front-facing camera phone was the onset of many of these symptoms, including a nearly doubling of the rate of anxiety and depression among young people. Watch this.
Now we know they're Gen Z. And what I found across two books is that we can explain it with this simple formulation. We have overprotected our children in the real world since the 1990s. We stopped them from going out and having adventures and independence. And we've underprotected them online. And when they all got on Instagram and other platforms around 2012, that's exactly when the crisis hits. So that's what the two books are about. The Colony of the American Mind is the overprotection. Anxious Generation is more about the social media tech ecosystem.
And we've talked.
Haidt uses over 40 longitudinal studies in which 25 of them demonstrate that social media use and overabundance of internet use, screen time included, have caused harm. Now, a lot of people in the psychological industry refute Haidt, or they basically, try to disparage him. But to be honest, I think it's just cope. Because we all can see with our own two eyes, I don't need research to tell me that everyone being infinitely on their phone at all times, especially for young people, is a good thing. A lot in my industry, the therapeutic industry, believe that that is just the bee's knees, and that's just how it's going to be moving forward with these younger generations. But I believe when there's a political party in power, they should try to do what's right on behalf of their constituency. And this social media law, although it may step on some toes, could be exactly what's needed. Critics might talk about privacy issues, but all we need to do is follow the money. The incentive structures are set up so that when these social media companies can keep young people hooked or get them hooked and make them think that they are fear of missing out of social situations that their friends and peers are doing online, they have a customer for life, or as long as their social media platform remains popular. So if we can do anything to begin to disbar some of the power that these social media companies have in the new digital era, there is no free speech issue. If a child, a juvenile, can go online and speak freely for an hour a day, there's no limitation there. And frankly, they're not of voting age yet anyway. So I'm not understanding exactly where you would come up with a free speech debate or argument on this. There have been other legislation in, for instance, Utah, where they age restrict the login information to spicy materials, which has led gigantic ographers to pull out of allowing the folks in Utah to access their sites at all. And all of this is a net positive in my view. I cannot imagine a situation where I should be in any way defending these social media companies and other large internet companies such as the Spicy Materials, which are trying to get at our children and youth who are sensitive and ultimately cannot begin to take in some of the traumatic experiences that come about when they view these materials early on in life. And their social frame during that developmental stage of adolescence is to begin to attach themselves more to their peers than to their parents. Naturally, it's supposed to be that way. However, when there is the social contagion aspect of what happens online and shout your mental illness and all of these things, they are being bludgeoned by ideologies that they are not mature enough to be able to make discerning decisions about how to interact with these systems. Cut it down, let it be age restricted, and let's see if we can begin to touch some grass and help our children to do the same. On this channel, we are trying to combine wisdom of the modern era that we can take along with tradition, the solutions to problems we forgot we had, combine those together into a rigorous way for us to be strong fathers and have access to our children, for that matter, as dads. And part of that may come with them not catching the social contagions that are available online and ultimately checking out of our families because they have their head in a device. Let's do this together. We can build a stronger America and a future for fatherhood. Thank you. God bless.